None of that. But something you forgot. See, everybody's forgotten something. You left it out. Just missed it. See? And so I can bring this out, what you've forgotten, if I ask you, who are you? Well, you say, I'm Paul Jones, or whatever your name happens to be. I say, oh, no. Don't give me that stuff. Who are you, really? Who are you? Who are you? Who are you? Who are you, really?
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And we're going. Alex, thank you so much for coming, dude.
No problem.
Thank you so much for coming. You were a top contender in the last Landi Lodge Smash tournament. If I'm not mistaken, you were quarterfinalist?
I think so. Yeah. I think I was top 4. That's where I stopped. Very surprising. It takes a lot to get me to be competitive. Mm-hmm. Hence why I really focus on Assassin's Creed type games because I don't play well with others.
Like single player campaigns.
That's usually my jam. But lately I've been trying to get more competitive. And don't get it twisted. I think I practiced about 20 hours straight. Joker, just straight Joker at home just to try to get there.
Were you? Did you play Persona 5? Are you a Persona 5 fan?
Yes, I have. All right, I saw one of your other shows. I saw you talked about it.
Of course.
I don't think you've had the biggest Persona 5 fan. I think you have him now.
Oh,
I finished that game.
Shit.
I finished that game 3 times. I got the Valentine's Day date where you dated everybody.
Oh, and they all came for you.
Yeah. I did the slut thing. I went through that.
The fuck boy.
I did the whole thing with my wife watching, sitting there angry at me, just like don't mess with these girls. That's so fucked up. It's like they're kids. They got time. They got plenty of time. Fuck it.
Well, that's the thing. Is not all of them are kids. You got the medic, right?
Yeah. It got a little weird, but then not to try to put myself in a perv corner, but out of curiosity, one day I was always wondering in anime why they always like the girls that look so young. Why is that? And then I think I figured it out from personally. It's the age of consent there is 14.
Oh.
So technically, I figured I don't, but I went in a rabbit hole. I looked up teenage pregnancy, lowest in the world.
In Japan,
lowest in the world.
With a 14-year-old age.
Yeah.
Wow.
They're very
that
disciplined.
Is fucking me up right now. Holy shit.
Yeah, I love anime. Persona 5 really just.
Well, let me tell you, because to me, and I say it over and over, to me, Persona 5 is the greatest JRPG I've ever played, and I love that genre, but nothing really comes close to it for me. Are you kind of in that same boat?
I've been playing.
Is it top tier for you? Like,
at first it was Final Fantasy X. That was my first, big one.
Yeah.
Then Final Fantasy 15 to me was great. It was very underrated. A lot of people didn't really feel it.
I really liked 15.
It had a great. I loved the ending.
Me too.
My wife was tearing up. She didn't even play.
Aww.
She was just watching. She was just like, these motherfuckers about to die.
They died for their cause. They died for their spoiler alert.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a 3-year-old game, so.
And then on top of that, then they had the DLC.
Oh yeah, episode Prompto, episode Arden,
and all of them were just fantastic thing. And then what was it? A couple weeks ago, they announced P5R, Persona 5 the Royal.
Yeah.
And I was like,
God,
okay,
I'm so psyched,
for now, Persona 5 is my favorite.
Dude, who do you think she is? Obviously, she's a freshman year student. You can tell by the jacket, but who do you think she is?
See, I don't know. I mean, some people think that she's like a different bad guy. I don't think you can top that twist. I think she's probably, I think she's Shido, the main bad guy. I think it's his daughter. Or like illegitimate daughter.
That's a good theory.
Because then they could do
she has some connection to Akechi because you could hear his voice in the trailer. She's the one. The one she's talking. He's the one she's talking to.
There's a reason why it's called the Royal. I feel like she's
good point.
I think that maybe she might be somebody very big or from a different political party in that world.
Somebody who might be running against Shido, or
no, I think she's a daughter of somebody.
Okay.
I think it would be nice if she was we don't know who is the daughter she could be now because her last name I don't think.
Did they give her a name yet? Does she have a name?
Yeah,
yet?
I honestly didn't memorize it yet.
Okay.
I know there's a lot of fan art of her already though.
I'm sure of it.
You know,
I'm sure of it.
A lot of risque stuff. But yeah.
Rule 34. What is it? If it exists, there's porn of it.
Yeah.
I think that she's basically just going to be and maybe it's obvious, but I think she's another Phantom Thief. I think she joins the squad. I think she's just another palace that we're going to end up going to.
Yeah,
because she kind of opens saying she doesn't agree with the Phantom Thieves' method of operation. So it seems to me like this is someone whose cognition we go into and change.
But just about everybody that's a Phantom Thief didn't like the Phantom Thieves at one point or another.
Exactly.
So it's like everyone kind of like,
unless you're the main four.
Yeah. They didn't really. They were cool with it. That game though, it
was so much fun, man. Like, what was your? All right, if you had to pick a favorite character and a favorite palace,
my favorite character is easily Makoto.
Makoto, yeah, she's best girl.
She's the best. She's one of the what do they say? Top tier waifu kind of situation. I loved her character, her arc. She went from being the nerd to like learning about friendship and stuff. Like I thought that was great. And as far as palace goes, I hated the last two palaces because that one became like not Shido's and they was just so long. Yeah. I hope that they change it up a little bit because some of the palaces did get kind of exhausting after a while. I think that the museum was one of my favorites.
Oh, visually that was stunning.
Yeah,
Madarame. I think, yeah, absolutely stunning.
That was like, and it was very, very, very. I mean, if it was made in America, then I would be shocked that they got that much like correct. But knowing that it's Japanese, it's just like that they know the folklore, they know how to make it respectfully, and there's never any backlash about that stuff, and it was just beautiful. I also know there's like the personas in general.
That's my thing. I've only played 5, and I might have to go back and play 4 because I thoroughly enjoyed this so much. And it's so funny. I have a funny story. It's like I started this game, and I wasn't very far. I was around Kamoshida's palace, and like the file became corrupted, and like it's a long game. So by the time you're at Kamoshida, you're already like 15 hours into the game. Yeah. So I was like, I don't want to do this 15 hours again. So I was at a point where I almost never played Persona 5. But my girlfriend, through internet searches and endless efforts, was able to bring my file back from the dead. And honestly, I couldn't be more thankful because it really was top 5 best games I've ever played. I enjoyed it so much. Like it's a game that it's funny because like the motto at the bottom right is take your time, which is kind of like a double entendre. It's like take your time as you go through the game. Yeah. But the game's also taking your time, much like the Phantom Thieves are taking hearts.
I think I mean, even P5R is going to be about within the third semester. Yeah. A lot of people think it's going to be
like 150 at least.
When they did Persona 4 Golden, they said it added a whole entire new thing and a whole new character and a whole new... I never played Persona 5 4. Persona 4. I want to play it, but they never made a port. You have to get a PS3 or a PS Vita. Yeah. Which gross, PS Vita. But like, I want to play it, but what I ended up doing was watching the animation that they had for it.
How are the animes they release?
They're pretty
afterwards?
Good. A lot of people think that they're trash, but what they do is they skip through the, what's it called? What they like to do is, the way they structure it, all the palace stuff, they fast forward through every palace thing, and then they add extra subtext to certain situations. Oh, okay. So you end up seeing like some relationship builds better, and they kind of like leave
it's definitely more rewarding to kind of watch the anime on top of the game.
Yeah,
because it kind of fills in some of those blanks.
Persona 4, I mean the movie, the game is about, instead of like the whole teacher and rebellious thing, right? They're hunting a serial killer through televisions.
Wow, it's so sick.
And it's like, and what I like about it too is the fact that it's so gritty. Like it's very realistic, these games. Like, they
handle real world issues. Like, dude, the opening like boss, Kamoshida, you're literally dealing with pedophilia. Yeah, like out the gate.
The moment that got me hooked was when the girl tried to kill herself.
Yeah, what's her name? It was Ann's friend. God, I can't think of her name on the top of my head, but that was a big part of Ann's art.
I was just like, oh my god, like this game does not like. It doesn't fuck around. Like, so especially if you didn't play the other ones or the others, the spin-off or whatever it is, Shin Megami Tensei, I think it's called. Without knowing any of that, going into this game and seeing a girl try to kill herself.
Try to kill herself. What did she jump off the roof?
Yeah, of the school during classes.
School hours.
And you're just like, what the world is going on here? Then it's like the teachers beating the shit out of students.
And they're blackmailing them, forcing them to do sexual favors.
It's you never expect something like that. Like, even Final Fantasy, for everything and as beautiful and as like grandiose that game is, they have never gone something like that. And that's why, to me, Persona 5, it actually, considering the way the world is so messed up, it almost seemed a little bit more relatable.
It seemed it was very real. Yeah. It was malleable minds dealing with misguided adults.
Yeah, and every single villain had like a whole different like thing, like about like art theft, things like that. Like, which I think Madarame is almost like freaking YouTube with their demonetization thing.
Yeah, that's
just
a good
trying
point.
to steal everything.
Yo,
you can go and just steal like everybody's. It's. I loved it. I love the imagery that they use. I love with this Persona system how many they take deities. Like you can get Thor.
Yeah.
It's like a character.
Well, I think I think it was Donkey who said it's Pokemon meets Inception.
Yeah, it's insane.
It's so much fun. It's like I thought I was over turn-based combat. Like I'll always go back to Pokemon games just to recapture my childhood, and they're fun, and it's an immersive world. But for the most part, turn-based combat really isn't my favorite thing to do.
That's why now what makes me happy about seeing the Final Fantasy VII remake, seeing how they're taking it away from there.
Yeah,
I was talking about it again with my wife because she's the only friend I have, and we talk about stuff like this. She's interested in it too, not as deep as me.
Yeah,
and I tell them like that thing. I think I looked it up. It sold over 100 million copies in its lifetime. Final Fantasy VII, worldwide.
That's so remarkable.
I think it's 120 million. Don't quote me on anything I say, and. To think that now
do you know how absurd that is? Do you know how fucking absurd that is? Kingdom Hearts 3 is the top selling game of the year, and they've sold 6 million copies.
Yeah. Yeah. In its lifetime. That's how many copies it sold, Final Fantasy VII. And I'm like, how many people do you think now? People got kids, people have families. The ones that don't want to play it, they're not gonna be able to sit there with turn-based combat.
Yeah, it's true.
It's kind of like when your parents sit you down and they make you watch like MASH. And they're laughing, and it's just like, oh, okay, oh, ha, ha, ha. Like, you're trying to be funny.
Anything with a laugh track.
Yeah, like, you're like, okay, yeah, that's so funny. Let me go back and let me watch freaking, porn. But, like, it's insane to me. Like, I think it's such a great idea to change it almost into Final Fantasy 15 combat kind of situation. I'm so excited for that game. And people that are really complaining about it, they're even complaining about the episodic format. I'm like, yo, clearly you haven't waited for Kingdom Hearts. Just let them do what they got to do.
And they know what they're doing.
The studios that you can trust are the ones that take their time. Square Enix,
100%.
Square Enix. Don't get me wrong. Square Enix is one of my favorite, but I also hate them.
Same.
Because
it's a very love-hate relationship.
Just Cause 4 and 3 made me so angry. I was like hate playing those games because it's fun to play them. You can cause chaos, you can do all this thing, but it's like such a boring game. And then they have like Octopath Traveler for the Switch.
How was that?
It was good. I made a review that a lot of people didn't like because
I saw. I almost clicked on that one, but I hadn't played the game, so I was like, "Why am I?"
What ends up happening. Well, I stopped doing reviews because that was soul sucking trying to do reviews for anything. I couldn't. You can't enjoy anything. And then the second you spend 40 hours playing a game and you talk and say like, "Well, I didn't like this," everyone's gonna make fun of you and talk shit about because of what you don't like. So I was like, you know what? I can't spend 40 hours playing a game just to get shit on the second I start talking about it. So that's when I switched to doing gameplay videos.
Gotcha. Yeah, fair enough.
But Octopath Traveler, the biggest issue, which isn't really a spoiler, is the fact that you got 8 characters and you travel the world together, but they never interact with each other.
Yeah, that's obnoxious as
And I'm like,
that's my problem. My problem is like that's what Square Enix does best. I thought the best part
every game they put all the money for story into Final Fantasy. That's it.
Yep.
Just Cause, literally the whole series, every game is the exact same storyline. You're going to an island to stop a bomb. It's like, what do you do? It's like, what do you do? Like, don't market it. Like, I would even market the campaign at that point. The Easter eggs in Just Cause 4 were fantastic, but it's just I get so mad. I got Lost Sphere. I tried for the Switch. I was like, what in the world? It looked like a mobile game. I was like, what is this? The Quiet Man came out. I'm sure I've
heard of that. I haven't played it though.
Oh my god, one of the crazy concept. You're playing as a deaf guy and there's no audio. Then when you beat the game, you can play it again and then there's audio. How awesome does that sound?
That sounds awesome.
The combat was like a PS1 game where it's like
just hack and slash.
It's like it was it's just fist fighting.
Oh.
But there's no locking on. There's no like you just it always played like a PS1 wrestling game. That's what it felt like, where you just couldn't you walking around the ring.
Which in their day were remarkable.
Oh yeah, like when
their day.
Like when people talk, what was it like you're talking about Donkey?
Yeah.
He did a review for Super Mario 64. He's like, oh, the controls. I'm like, dude, there was a 6 like axis. Like you could only go 6 directions. And then the worst example he used was Witcher 3. And I'm like, there's an entire world you're on a horse. You are a little possibly Italian man in this game. You can't compare the two.
Yeah, you're right.
It's insane.
Well, you know what it is? It's like, and I really like Donkey. I love his channel, but he is very selective. he does have his blind spots because there's things he obviously has a love for. Like he loves the Mario series.
He loves Nintendo.
Yeah,
he loves
does.
Nintendo. Yeah. I don't blame him. Nintendo, it is and
consistent.
always will be.
Depending on what series you follow, it's very consistent. Seldom will you get a bad Mario or Zelda game.
Me, it's like my favorite is not even is the like the neckbeard brother of Nintendo Intelligence Systems, which makes the Fire Emblem series.
Ooh,
those
are you
games
psyched for the new Fire Emblem.
Yeah, I have the super duper one that's coming in the
pre-order?
mail. Yeah.
Oh my god.
Even
when does that drop? When does that drop?
June 26th, I believe.
Dude, I'm so excited.
I got the Fire Emblem is one of my. I even got one of the from the symbols.
That's
from
cool
it.
as fuck.
Yeah.
And for those of you listening, he's got the which symbol is this?
Mark of the Exalt.
Mark of the Exalt on his
Marth,
forearm.
I think, has it, and it goes up to the new characters, which are most of them in Smash.
Yeah.
And Lucina has it in her eye. I ended up getting it there.
Oh.
It's like the mark of the family that they can rule.
The only I played when I was younger a Fire Emblem game when I was on Game Boy Advance. I think it was.
Was it Sacred Stones or was it the other one?
I think it was Sacred Stone. But so I really haven't gotten into the series, but just in like one of the Nintendo's most recent directs when they dropped the trailer of Fire Emblem, what is it, the Three Houses?
Yeah.
Oh, it looks
because it's
unreal.
actually it looks like they're putting in like real warfare. It almost seems like if you want to ignore Game of Thrones and play some Fire Emblem, you'd probably be a lot happier.
Look, Alex, that's exactly what I'm doing. That is exactly what I'm doing.
I played before, like, and honestly, I credit Fire Emblem to how my life has turned out because I learned patience, and I learned about consequences,
problem solving.
Yeah, like because before the newer games there was the permadeath, soul crushing permadeath. And then the new ones, they added a new Phoenix mode where they come back immediately. Someone. But now I do a Phoenix mode for the story, and then that's when I'll do like the classic mode to just
challenge yourself.
Like cutting yourself, but like safer. It's kind of like something like that.
Well, listen, man, I'm happy they're doing this because they've obviously pumped Smash games with as many Fire Emblem characters as they can, and I've always been of the school of thought. It's like, well, if you're gonna, why are you? I'm not ripping on them for this. I'm going to come full circle. But there's that school of thought of like, why are you pumping this full with Fire Emblem characters when we could be getting more Zelda characters, when we could be getting more Mario characters, when we can get more Donkey Kong characters, etc.
And we know
we
with
can
the
go
Smash,
on and on and on and on and on.
With Smash, what I feel like what they're going to do with the next character pass is just partnerships that they've had.
Sora for Smash.
I love Sora. I would love for him to be in it.
It's going to be hard because he's a shared property between both Disney and Square Enix.
But I feel like what's going to end up doing is one is going to be possibly like the Doom guy. One might be Master Chief. I think because
you think Master Chief?
I know, and I'm not going off of anything. I know I sound like I'm on crack right now.
No, you gotta be hyped. Keep going.
The reason I think about this is because Xbox Live is coming to the Nintendo Switch.
What does that mean?
I don't know, but that's what they said. They said you're going to be able to access Xbox Live, and I think you can do cross gaming and stuff. So what better way to...
Does this mean we're not going to have to deal with Nintendo's online
No,
anymore?
you're going to have to deal with both.
Okay, you're going to have to deal with it. Okay.
But with Xbox Live, I mean, we don't know what's going on with Nintendo either. Next year, they're supposed to be releasing their Nintendo Switch Pro.
Yep, the Switch Pro.
This year we're getting the cheap one.
I just watched a video that cited that Nintendo's working on 8 different Zelda titles. 8.
But they're not. Yeah, but they're not. But what I hate,
they're not all coming out next year.
Oh no. Well, that's what I was talking to somebody. They were talking about THQ Nordic, a very weird company that makes pretty good games, but then got bought by I don't know who they got bought by now. They got bought out, and they put out this thing saying they have 80 games in development. And I'm sitting there going, and I tweeted it out to somebody. I commented it saying we all got to realize that development
is a very broad term.
It could be some stoner in a room that said, "What if we put batteries in a dog and we follow his adventures?" And I'd be like, "Greenlit," and they're writing the story. So when they say development, I mean,
you don't know what stage of development it could be.
Yeah, you never really know, and especially when it comes now with the big studios, it's all money. If you see a company have a great year, you know you're gonna get a good game. You're gonna get a game quicker.
Well, that's how I don't know if you've seen Square Enix. They released their profit model for the next year, and you see around the month of November, December, their operating funds shoot up, and this is money that comes from profit. So everyone's theorizing Final Fantasy VII is going to drop this winter because where else are they going to get that profit money from?
If they're doing by episode, I would expect one episode early.
So how do you feel about that? Because it seems like the community's a little bit divided on the fact they want to split up Final Fantasy VII Remake into 2 installments.
I heard it was 4.
I heard...
you know what it is?
Everyone's got their own thing. Yeah. It could be 1 for all we know.
I think 3 would be good. I think if it's a flat price, I'd be fine with it.
Yeah.
I mean, for Final Fantasy VII, I'd at least like we also got to realize the price of games is going to go up soon because of the whole streaming war that's about to happen after Google Stadia.
Mm-hmm.
So I figure maybe they're going to try to do something different with this one because there's no way Square Enix has made that much money in my mind. A lot of these games, like you look at like the ones I listed, half the people never heard of it.
Yeah,
because I love the series and I love the studio. I'm scared that they're gonna milk it, but if they milk 3 parts and make each one 40 hours, and it's like it's like $40 per episode.
Okay, now we're talking.
Then it's like okay, it makes sense, and I can expect a good product.
Mm-hmm.
But if it does like a freaking like Life is Strange, where also I think is Square Enix, where it's like Life is Strange 2 came out like 2 years ago or so last year, and they're only on episode 3 now. It's like it takes so long. I hate companies that do these things. Like Anthem, the biggest scourge of the year.
Yep.
They have this roadmap where it's like, here's what we're going to do by the 6 months. And it's like, if you look at the roadmap for Anthem, if you just released it at the end of the roadmap with that content, you wouldn't have had any sort of backlash. Because it's content.
Yeah.
And I think Square Enix, they're playing this really weird game with Final Fantasy VII, where it's so difficult to picture them have a 40-hour game. Like the usual Square Enix game is about 40 with with a little bit of medium. Because I did Final Fantasy 15 with some exploration about 45, 50 hours. To them to justify having it that much, it's hard to imagine.
Well, if I'm just following the pattern of Square Enix's last 2 big releases, let's look at Final Fantasy 15 and let's look at Kingdom Hearts 3. They both seem to follow the model of you buy the base game.
Yeah.
And after you complete the base game and you get an ending, you get the story, you get a full circle.
Yeah.
But then, through the years, they drop all this story DLC that upon visiting, you almost get a whole new story out of it, and you get a different, I wouldn't want to say a different ending, but it's basically a further ending would be a better way to put it.
It makes you rethink some things.
Yes.
So when it comes to Final Fantasy 15, here's the thing, too. With them, it was known with the Season Pass. With Kingdom Hearts 3, they randomly, the guy Tetsuya Nomura randomly was just like, we're gonna get Remind.
Yeah,
and
there's like 3. He announced like 3 different episodes
out of nowhere, with no sort of any kind of. I'm like, you guys are doing so much work on Final Fantasy 7, and it's like you're gonna put that in episodes, and out of nowhere you're gonna announce Kingdom Hearts. It's like they waited for Kingdom Hearts to see how it did in sales. And then it did very well. It did very. It's almost. I mean, God of War alone. They were worried about God of War a little bit,
and they outsold them.
It's like 10 million. No. Right now, God of War got to 10 million
on the year, or
no, since the lifespan.
Since the lifespan, yeah.
Which is pretty impressive for a single player game.
Yeah. When did that drop? Didn't that drop in
I think April 20th of last year. I didn't want to say 420, but I think April last year. And it's just, I mean, for a year, for it to sell about 10
million is huge
for a single player game. So now they see, like, ever since EA did that really messed up thing where they were just like, oh, nobody wants to play single player games. Because they kept canceling. Because they kept canceling all the Star Wars role playing games that were making. Well, that's because of
that fucking Disney buyout. Ever since Disney bought out Star Wars,
even after that, there was a studio that was called Visceral Games, and they were making an RPG. Then they killed it, and then there were another studio was making. That's why with Jedi Fallen Order, that's coming out later on this year from EA, it drives me. I don't know what to make of it. A lot of people are excited about it. Like I like Star Wars.
Anything Star Wars now, I won't let myself get excited, but I'm always gonna try it.
Yeah. Well, me personally, my rule with Star Wars, even as a child, I respect the movies. Except Last Jedi and Force Awakens. The new ones were a little sloppy in my book.
This is probably going to be my least favorite trilogy, but I've seen the movies and I'm going to go see 9.
Me personally, I enjoy everything about Star Wars that doesn't have anything to do with Luke Skywalker.
Because there's a whole fucking universe out there.
That's why with Disney Plus, The Mandalorian, made by Jon Favreau, who made Iron Man,
baby.
Lion King, he made Jungle Book. Now he's making one, and it's got Gina Carano and Pedro Pascal as like the main characters. And it's just going to be about bounty hunters. I was like, oh, hell yeah. They canceled the Boba Fett movie. And I'm like, when you first announced the Boba Fett movie, it was supposed to be Solo Boba Fett. Mm-hmm. I'm like, you could have cut half the movie of Solo and just made half the movie, turned it into like him versus Boba Fett.
People would have been trying to build this up as like 2 separate.
Because that Solo movie was so, it was so.
What did you think of it?
It was, I mean, to me, I went there, I knew that the directors, the original guys that made it.
Yeah.
are some of the best guys in the business. Phil Lord and Chris Miller.
Mm-hmm.
They're some of the best guys who just signed on with Sony with like a freaking $100 million deal to make all Spider-Man stuff. So super excited. They just made the Spider-Verse one, so now they're in charge of Spider-Man.
Oh, they made Into the Spider-Verse.
Yeah, they produced it.
I've been meaning to watch that. I haven't gotten to it yet.
It's awesome. I got the DVD.
All I needed to hear was that Nicolas Cage is Noir Spider-Man, and I'm sold.
He might be getting a spinoff. His own movie.
He should. He's awesome. Nicolas Cage. He's a fucking genius.
That movie was such a great hit. But like, it's that movie when they got rid of those guys and they brought Ron Howard, and I'm like, Ron Howard is by no means a bad director, but I feel like the movie would have been better if the entirety of it was from him. He basically had to pick up the pieces of what they wrote. I mean, even the most exciting scene in the movie when how he met Chewie in that pit, was there. They wrote that. That wasn't like that they wrote that. Those two guys. So like one of the best parts of the movie is them two.
It's something they originally
So it's like
up.
So when you're watching the movie and you see the beginning, I mean, the first 15 minutes was like 80s humor, where it was like it was like not even funny. I was just like it was like we're in the theater and they crack a joke and then nobody in the theater laughs. There's nothing weirder than that.
Yeah, it's a pretty awkward silence to be stuck in.
Yeah, because most of these movies, they do this thing, they put the audio, it's almost like they cut the audio. Almost like they're trying to fit a laugh track.
To let people laugh,
I'm like, oh man. It was so rough watching that movie. I
liked it. I liked Hans. I liked the solo film.
I think the biggest thing about that was K2. No, that was the other one. The droid, the girl, she was cool. Great. She was and Lando.
Donald Glover's Lando was great.
I was scared at first with him because I thought he was going to be doing like a Billy D. Williams impression.
No, he really
and he kind of made it his own, and him, I love him. His music, his everything.
No, Donald Glover's a once in a generation
his
talent.
Stuff in Community, like everything.
Oh, you're a Community fan?
I stopped after a while, but now that it's all on Hulu, I've been mealing because remember when I went to Yahoo for a little bit?
Yeah.
I stopped because I'm like, I'm not signing up for Yahoo.
Yeah, I remember that. I did. I signed up for Yahoo. I was like, I need to see how this fucking shit
now
ends.
I think it's all on Hulu now.
Yep.
And I got to keep.
It's one of my favorite shows.
I watched the first like 2 seasons of it, and just him when he cries. Yeah. Like it just like what, and then you see him now. I mean, when he hosted Saturday Night Live, I think last year, he hosted it, and he was doing like the classic stuff. Like he was doing like the falling, like the way he like nobody like not a lot of people fall the way he does, and you wouldn't think that a guy like him, who raps about what he raps about, like some of the work that he works on, can also pull off like this weird comedy.
He has such a versatile artistic mind.
He's nuts.
Where it's like he lives 3 different lives. Like there's 3 different versions of him, and depending on what he's doing, that's who he lets drive.
Yeah. Did you ever see the few cameos of his on 30 Rock?
No.
If you look that up on YouTube, he did a Tracy Morgan impression of a young Tracy Morgan.
It's spot on.
It is. It sounds just.
Did you watch Atlanta?
I watched the first season. The second season, I think, also just dropped on Hulu. I've been meaning to.
It's amazing.
The first season, I thought they should have won way more awards for that show.
It's such a good show.
That show, the one episode, I didn't see the whole new season, but the Cat Williams episode.
Oh my god!
The
my
alligator.
God!
That was like a. Yeah, I was just like, what the fuck am I watching right now? These guys. All right, that, and then the other highlight was when Paperboy got robbed by his drug dealer.
Yep.
Very nicely.
With the car
and then he's following him like this with the guns, like, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I was just like,
sorry I had to do this, bro.
It was just like, oh, man.
I love it. Did you see the episode with Bibby, his barber?
No.
Oh, my God, when you get up to that episode.
I heard it.
That might be my favorite episode of the season, is the episode with Paperboy and his
that
barber.
show was like, even his friend, who ended up playing in Death Note, who did it like I
didn't see the live action Death Note.
You're okay skipping it, but like he was in Get Out, and I think the name of the actor is Lakeith Stanfield. Mm-hmm. He plays like the wisdom one where he gave him the dogs and he made money with the dogs and stuff. That character, I feel like I've met him so many different times.
Oh, the tall lanky guy.
Yeah, I feel like he's all over. He's the most realistic character to me.
He's very real. He breaks the fourth wall. I love his line when he met the Cat Williams character. He's like, I'd say nice to meet you, but I don't really believe in time as a concept, so I'll just say that we've always met.
Yeah.
And the dude looks at him like...
And I'm looking at him and I'm like, I know that guy in real life. Somehow, like, that character he plays.
He kind of reminds me of a young Chappelle.
Yeah, he could.
Ways.
He's pretty versatile. I mean, I think they don't really use him that well in the movies that he gets.
Yeah, so he's still an up-and-comer.
Yeah. I mean, he played... Do you watch the Death Note anime?
Yeah.
He played L.
It.
Yeah.
What?
He played L. Yeah.
What?
That's why a lot of people like to narc on. Yeah. Personality wise, I thought he did okay, but like,
Hold on. Wait. Did he play? Was he the voice of L in the anime, or is he just? Oh,
no,
okay.
he's live. It was live action.
You blew my fucking mind.
No.
He voiced L.
No.
Okay.
It's hard to you. Yeah, no.
For a second there, I was like, "Damn."
No. He played him in live action.
Okay.
And they changed the story around so much, but like I was like, when they first announced it, I was like, "Oh, that's pretty cool." Even when they like, I like when they cast outside of the box. Like when they talked about,
I do a little bit too.
When they talked about Cowboy Bebop, well, they did like the Netflix adaptation, then they announced who was playing it. Yeah. I was like pretty okay with it, but then I was watching something and they were talking about how Spike, the main character, that I was like, I really thought that with all the casting that they do with like Scarlett Johansson playing from Ghost in the Shell, like casting like that, I'm like Spike. I was just like, I wish they'd gone out of the box with him. They got John Cho for Harold.
Do you know who was really to me?
Keanu?
Keanu.
Yeah.
It had to be Keanu, but he's too old now.
That's the problem. Like, yeah, he's definitely ageless, but it's like, come on. Like Paul Rudd, he's 50. He looks like he's 30.
Yep.
But he can't pass off as a 25-year-old.
But here's the thing now is facts. But here's the thing now, like I didn't see Captain Marvel, but from the clips I saw, the young Samuel L. Jackson,
look great.
They made him look like he was 25 again.
Yeah. Captain Marvel, for all the hate,
I heard it was meh. I didn't hear it was bad. I heard it was meh.
It had enough to enjoy, but they got a little cheeky sometimes with some of the references. It kind of like it was to tie her in. But otherwise, honestly, it was like a run of the mill kind of Marvel.
It almost seemed like I heard one guy say it's like they just needed to pump out the Endgame prequel.
Yeah, because it's like and she didn't end up being like that important in Endgame. But,
she wasn't that important, but one of the things I loved Endgame, just to brief that, but one of the things I didn't like was she was just a breathing Deus Ex Machina.
Yeah.
How do we get Iron Man home? Captain Marvel.
Yeah.
How are we going to hold Thanos down? Captain Marvel. How are we going to stop Thanos' warship from nuking the planet? Captain Marvel.
I mean, now that we're about a month clear of Endgame, I mean, we could all just kind of say it. Like, I remember watching Endgame and then a week later going, man, that movie had a lot of problems. It definitely
It definitely did.
But man, did none of it matter because it was still so amazing.
Yes, yeah, exactly.
You could just
That's
forgive.
A great way of putting
like
it.
when they talk about the timeline, when I was like timeline stuff like that. Spoiler alert, but not really. It's a month now. They're almost beat Avatar. Come on, and it's just
I think they did. I think they officially beat Avatar.
I think no, they did. They're about 100 million away.
Okay.
From today, I think I saw. Someone put the Key and Peele.
Maybe they beat them domestically, but not worldwide.
No, domestically, Force Awakens is still number one.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah, surprisingly. Yeah, it's weird. I haven't worked in 6 months, so I've been keeping up with this random.
Gotcha.
But it's like it was so easy to forgive that one. With Captain Marvel, the movie though, going into it, it was so rough. The internet, like these guys on the internet that were going off about her because of her interview. I made a video about it on the channel, which got. I mean, it got more likes and dislikes. The interview wasn't
even about Captain Marvel though.
No,
that was my one beef with it. It's like if you want to bring it up and say what she said was stupid, I can go there with you. But, like, you know what it is? It's like, dude, actors are... And I'm not trying to disrespect the line of work, but, like, actors are puppets. Like, 800 people work on every film. And just because one person in the film said something stupid, you're just going to throw the baby out with the bathwater?
I honestly, when it came to the situation, I mean, I looked at it. I watched so many YouTube videos about it, and I looked at it because I love Marvel. Marvel's my entire freaking life.
Marvel-holic.
Marvel, it raised me as a child. My dad, it was more of a dad to me than my dad was.
Gotcha.
I love it. And looking at it, and this Captain Marvel, like, I kind of see it differently than, like, kind of you see it. I think what she said, because I did the research when it comes to actors, and the situation she was in, like, the press tour that they do sucks. It's literally it's a hotel room for like 14 hours a day in different countries,
answering questions.
And I mean, from her, I try to, and like I said with the channel, I try to look at things all different perspectives. And what I saw in that was a woman who she's got this huge role.
And well, just to clear, what interview are we talking about?
The one that got her in trouble, the first one. Okay, where gotcha. She said about the interview.
It wasn't made for him.
Yeah,
gotcha.
But at the same, like, but if you look at the entire quote, it's not really about like it was more of like a like. I mean,
I think I understand what you're saying because like, I took this kind of stance a little bit too. Was like if you and I made a movie about people in southern Florida.
Oof.
Why would we? It's like we would care more about the opinions of people in South Florida than we would about the people who live in Argentina.
But she's in this. She's literally like, we didn't see the interviewers that she had. Right. She was in the room. She saw all of her interviewers. Good.
You're good. Yeah. I'm just adjusting this out.
She's in the interview. She sees every hour, every 5 minutes almost. She's seeing the same kind of guy every single 5 seconds.
Asking the same fucking questions.
And, I mean, we look at it with the Scarlett Johansson interviews where everyone kept asking her if she was wearing a thong or if she was wearing underwear or not. It gets kind of annoying after a while when it's just like the same kind of guy.
Over and over and over.
With her, it's like, I think what she wanted to talk about was, and I justified it in one of my videos very weirdly, where the movie, yes, it wasn't about feminism, but it had the feminism thing. But anybody can enjoy a movie about feminism. It's not just for that person. My argument when I talked about it on my video, I said, just because something isn't specifically made for you doesn't mean you can't go and enjoy it. It doesn't mean it's not for you. Case in point, Adventure Time, My Little Pony.
Yeah, exactly.
These grown-ass men adopted My Little Pony and made it a huge thing with bronies for such a long time. Can we say that when whatever network made it, did they make it for 40-year-old men? No, they ended up enjoying it. Even with, like, if you can argue about it with even anime. Every anime is a cartoon, but there's different types. People can enjoy anything.
Oh, yeah, you can watch Yu-Gi-Oh! Or you can watch Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood.
Yeah, or you want Code Geass, just you want to get, like, a mind fuck.
Yep.
But it's like, just because a movie has a woman in it or has, like, is about feminism or like things about feminism doesn't mean it's not for everybody, and that's what I hated when people were saying that. I think what a lot
of people are rejecting, and the problem is that people on the internet aren't necessarily very good at having discourse, just because the nature of the internet, you're not in person. I think what a lot of people had a problem with was the press trying to make it seem like Captain Marvel was shattering some glass ceiling of having a female lead. Yeah, when that's just not true at all. Yeah,
but at the same time,
between Terminator 2, Kill Bill, Alien. Yeah. There's a million examples. Tomb Raider. Like,
it's also the people and the journalists, the contemptuous attitudes that journalists have.
Yes,
with fan bases. I mean, just today or yesterday, Quentin Tarantino was being questioned. It was all over Twitter, and Variety reported that he snapped at a journalist because she said, "Why did Margot Robbie in the new movie, which she's playing Sharon Tate? I think it's Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Mm-hmm. She's playing Sharon Tate, very famous actress." And then the journalist goes and says to the guy, says to Quentin Tarantino, was it on it was definitely by design that you gave her less lines. And I'm like, and almost trying to insinuate that he's being like sexist. And I'm like, have you never heard of Kill Bill? Have you not watched his other things? Like every female character in all of his movies have such depth and badass.
I couldn't agree with you more.
But it's about the headlines.
Yep.
And then when you put that he snapped, which he didn't snap, he just said, "I reject your hypothesis."
And that's it?
Yeah, that's all. He didn't snap.
He's the man.
He was just like, no, because he's done so much for a lot of women's careers. He's done a great thing. He's never really shortchanged.
Well, what's crazy is he got a lot of backlash when he released those Kill Bill movies. Some people are like, "Oh, you're not setting a good example for women."
It's just a matter of the press needs to get clicks. And people need to get mad. That's all it is.
I think Facebook did a study that they saw that, like, when people are angry, they're more likely to engage.
Dude, I see that YouTube, once they started monetizing pages, that was the end of Facebook. I have one now. I can't take it anymore. You look at fan pages, because even if you have a page.
On Facebook?
On Facebook.
Yeah.
Like, you have a page on Facebook for the...
No.
If you had one and you get views and clicks and stuff, at a certain point, you can actually get monetized from Facebook. So what ends up happening is people start putting out all these articles and captions just to try to stoke anger.
Yep.
And when it came to Brie Larson, she said one thing once, then she clarified it, saying a statement that made sense, made everything articulated well. Mm-hmm. She apologized for the way she like the way she meant it, and clarified what she meant, which you never hear anyone talk about that.
Nope.
But then you hear about them, like you'll see a page that's constantly like, or the worst one was, what was it? Marvel Rocks My World is the name of the page. And I called them out for it. They said in an interview, the movie is about feminism. The actual quote, when you click the link, it said it's about feminism and humanism. But they only put the part that they wanted to. When you look in the comments section, half the people don't read it.
Yeah, they just start based on that.
So they start quoting like, "Oh, it's feminist, feminazis."
You're right.
And then they get more clicks. They get paid more interaction. IGN right now is dealing with a bunch of people. If you go on IGN on Facebook, everyone keeps posting, "Wow, cool post IGN. Thanks for sharing." Because they want to get like their top fan, because they like trolling IGN, because the whole world hates IGN for some reason. And they're doing that, but at the end of the day, they're getting paid more from Facebook for those clicks, for that. Yeah. So it's like you're trolling them to make
you're only helping.
You're making them more money.
Like, I've been saying to people, it's like, if you want all this nonsense to stop, if you want the million red flags of racism at every turn or million red flags of sexism at every turn, if you want all that to stop talking about it.
Yeah.
Stop engaging with that content.
And that's what I called out that page, and I called out another page called Total Nerd for saying like, yo, it's as like, you guys really are just bait. And then after I said that and I unfollowed them, I got the top fan badge from them. I'm like, what the hell is this?
How about did you get that because like a bunch of people just fucked with your comment?
Because I kept commenting saying like, I would like I got bored. Gotcha. So I'm like, these guys make all this clickbait, but it's clickbait that is dividing the cult. Like, if you make clickbait and you find out that it was there was a shark on there, and you find out it's an article about a fish, that clickbait, that's annoying.
Yep.
If you look at clickbait that is designed to make everybody divided and then argue with each other, and then here comes the page that's just sitting there collecting money from all those comments and hatred, that's worse. That's a different kind of thing.
Yep.
So I would actually accuse these pages and say like, you're ruining the fandom by doing this crap.
Well, you've seen it everywhere, and like that's why I think everyone is divided about everything, because I almost feel like these companies have figured that out exactly. Yeah. They're like, hey, if we divide our fan base, people are gonna go nuts.
Yeah.
I mean, Game of Thrones the last like few weeks is a case in point. Like people have been trying to get me to watch Game of Thrones for years, and you know what? I've been able to avoid Game of Thrones on any of my feeds for 8 years. But only in these last few weeks was it unavoidable.
Yeah.
And it's because people were divided and people couldn't stop talking about it. People couldn't stop engaging about it. And like, I'm kind of with you, because it's like a united fan base is better than a divided fan base.
Like whenever, like,
without question.
Like Apex Legends, you know, that game that
just dropped like within the last 6 months?
2 months. I think it was like 2
months.
It was in February, I think.
Okay.
They dropped. They had a couple characters that they announced were part of the LGBTQ plus community. Mm-hmm. And a lot of these YouTubers are like, oh, they're shoving this in your face. They're shoving it in your face. And so I did my research, because I didn't feel like it was being shoved in my face. When you look at it, if a company like Disney or a company like EA says, hey, we're going to make this character. Hey, did you know that a brand new character is gay or a lesbian? And then every single outlet starts sharing that exact thing and starts writing articles about it, and you follow 15 million different things, you're gonna feel like you're gonna get hit. You feel like you get hit in the, but then these guys online, it's mostly dudes, that like, they get so pissed. They're like, you're shoving it in their face. I'm like, are they? If I say something once and everybody reports on it 2 minutes later, it feels like it's. So what I did was I just started unfollowing so many different pages.
Well, you know what I think? I think that's a symptom of like. I agree with you in that individual case that's an overreaction and unnecessary, because it is an original character given an original attribute.
Yeah. Don't get me wrong. When they try to make like Captain America and Bucky, like when they were,
because I've always been in the school of thought that like, look, if let's say you want LGBT representation in Marvel, right? Yeah. The answer isn't to make Captain America gay.
They have characters.
They have characters and give them. Fresh new characters. And I what I was going to get at before, so I think it's like in that particular case they were absolutely wrong, and who knows the ratio between right or wrong in these cases, but it is a symptom of something that's very real that's going on, because I mean, I'm not a Harry Potter fan, but if you keep up with what's going on with Harry Potter, J.K. Rowling keeps changing everything. Like post the story being written, like Hermione's black now or something.
She said that she might have been, but then there was one.
That's this kind of stuff.
And that was I did a video.
And like Overwatch now, Soldier 76 is gay. Yeah. 3 years after he was created and released, it's like so it is a real thing that's going on that people are doing a sort of pandering and stuff. But in the case of an original character like you brought up, it's not called for in the slightest.
No, it's just like it's perfectly fine. But like even Overwatch, I mean, they talked about how they're planning on making some sort of cinematic universe on YouTube with all their stories.
I would hope so. I love those clips.
So it make those clips like they're talking about that. So what they're doing is they're not. Our Soldier's sexual orientation doesn't make his character, but it's like it doesn't hurt the story either.
It doesn't.
Even Borderlands. Have you ever played Borderlands?
Never played Borderlands.
You never played Borderlands? There was a soldier character named Axton in Borderlands 2. And if you listen to the audio tapes of like his backstory, you find out I think he got kicked out of the military for being gay, and that was the only mention. Nobody really cared because it was an optional thing.
It's not a big deal.
But now people talk about it where they make new characters and then they make them, and then there's a lot of, and I will always cite this one YouTuber because I have a huge problem with the stuff that he says. And
is it what's his name?
The Quartering?
Yeah. I watched your video on that today.
He drove me nuts because I'm like, there was a day where Brie Larson on Twitter, she retweeted a fan art someone made of Captain Marvel holding Valkyrie.
Yeah, because there's a lot of that.
Everyone loves fan art.
Yes.
Even Rule 34, the grossest stuff in the internet, is still somewhat flattering because it's people that really care.
Yeah.
And a lot of that shit's hand drawn. I give them credit.
A lot of love goes into it.
Yeah, it really does.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong.
It gets a little far sometimes, but it's still love.
I'm a libertarian. Let people do what they want.
Yeah. It's just like, it's still flattering. And so she retweeted it, and then Tessa Thompson, who plays the character, also said, "Oh, what? Oh, we're cute." And then this guy made a video saying, like, the title said, "Captain Marvel's gonna be gay." Brie Larson confirms it. And then within the first 5 seconds of the video, he says, "Oh, there's rumors." And then he talks about it. And then you know what happens? And then you go into the comment section of that video, so much shit talking. And they're not even realizing within the first 5 seconds of the guy's video, he just said it's rumors. There's nothing confirmed. But in the title,
it's like a headline.
That's a straight up lie.
Well, you know,
it's just a hate machine.
Like, do you think he would lose that many clicks if in the title it said a rumor?
I don't really know.
That's what I'm saying.
People's
right?
hate is gonna be, no matter what they see at this point, they're gonna be mad.
Yeah,
people are gonna get mad no matter what.
That's because we were you're not wrong.
Everyone's.
We
were
getting into this before we went on, but like, do you think that's a symptom of something much larger?
I think everyone thinks that. I think at a certain point, people. It's every single community too. You go into video games, everybody wants everything now because everything is much more realistic than it used to be.
Yep.
When we got Mario, if we got a game that looks like Mario now, that company would go out of business in a day because it doesn't have the 10 million kinds of things that we have now.
Mm-hmm.
But Fallout 76, perfect example. Everybody, when Fallout 4 came out, don't care about the series. When it first came out, everyone's just like, "Where's the multiplayer?" Then when it comes out, Fallout 76, they're like, "Where's all the NPCs?" It's like you wanted the multiplayer, you wanted a full online thing, and then it's like, "Oh, we wanted it, but we didn't want it that way." Can't. It's not fair.
I really feel like that's a lot of it. I feel like a lot of it is,
yeah.
I want things my way.
Yeah.
And people aren't respecting the creators. People aren't respecting writers. People aren't respecting developers.
The disgusting example, and again, I'll do the Quartering because he's another one. He went at these people. Insomniac Games, Spider-Man, PS4. Did you played it?
It's on deck.
Okay.
It's on deck.
Fantastic. One of the best Spideys.
I can't wait.
He's up there. And they released close to the Christmas, they released the Sam Raimi suit.
Yes, yeah, I heard about that. Yeah.
Did you hear what happened? Like when the game came out, people started asking for the Raimi suit, and they wanted it. The studio started getting death and rape threats about wanting it. Then you find out, and then the studio's saying, "We don't owe anything to you. Like we don't." And then
gave you a whole fucking game.
Yeah, and then you know what's crazy? They say the game came out. They released the skin. I think might have been a little early, around the time of Christmas. The guy said it was supposed to be a Christmas gift. And it's like, imagine these, and then it just right there, it put me in perspective. It's every kid that got 10 Lego sets for Christmas, but wanted 30. That's what everyone acts like now. And it's because we have so much shit that comes our way. Like we get everything we want. Everyone's ever happy.
You know what else I think it is too? It's like, you know, when you were a kid and like you play, give me a video game that really captured you as a kid.
Pokemon Red.
Pokemon Red. So do you remember like how that felt, how immersed you were, what a perfect experience it was? Mm-hmm. It's like everybody wants that again, but nobody understands. Like you're an adult now. Like you can
still be into. I'll be playing Pokemon until I'm like dead.
Same. I'll play Pokemon until I'm dead. To the grave, baby.
I play it all the time. I don't care what anyone thinks. I was still able to get married.
Fair enough.
It's out there. You can play it. You can be happy playing it. But it's just like people like they want so much out of it. It's crazy. Now we see reports about
they want
crunch.
you to fill the hole they have in their real life with your shit.
And then you hear about layoffs for the companies, and then they're like, "What are you doing? Why you're mistreating your employees?" I'm like, "You boycotting games?" Like,
it's a business.
Even with like microtransactions, it's like, yes, they suck, but like Thanos, it's inevitable. Companies have to make money.
Well, that's how things work. And like I think a problem a lot of people, at least in our generation, have is like they look at money like such a dirty thing. And look, greed is real. Greed is real, and greed can be very bad. But it's like I don't know. It's like
we wouldn't have what we have if it wasn't for the way the markets
for the business model. It's like it's a way to exchange production and consumption.
And we get more content out of it. Most of the time, microtransactions.
So much more. That's what I'm saying. It's like people are complaining and things are like better than ever.
Yeah. Would
you rather play Final Fantasy 15 or Final Fantasy 6?
15 all the way.
And this is my point. And then you have fans of the series who be like, 6 was the best.
Yeah.
And it's like, what do you...
They talk about it all the time, man.
Because it was shiny when they were a kid. It was beautiful.
Even YouTubers, when they start changing or anytime you change anything, they're just like, oh, we liked you when it was this.
Exactly.
It's like, come on. Like,
you got it. Things evolve. Things change. Read some fucking Darwin. Things have to evolve to survive. It's true in nature. It's true in business.
There's like 10,000 games that come out every holiday season. Around right after E3 every year, I go to GameStop and I pre-order every little thing I want, and then I budget it weekly so I'll have enough for all the things that I want.
Mm-hmm.
And I never, because when I was growing up, straight up, I never played a rated M game until I was 18. Wasn't allowed. Bought Grand Theft Auto into the house secretly. Almost died. Then I had a Game Boy, a Nintendo 64. I had to work with my dad in construction in order to get those systems. Then once I moved in with my fiance at the time, we moved in together. I got a better job. I started making more money. Now I have every single console, and I buy way too many video games. And to me, I guess growing up, not being able to be so spoiled with some of these games,
it kind of gives you a more real perspective.
Video games have better storylines than half the movies that come out.
Way better. And I could not agree with you more.
And people can't sit there and like God for like Donkey. Sometimes guys like him, they'll talk shit about like reviewers or companies because they don't get codes early. And I'm like, because most of you guys will make a 20-minute video about everything. Not even well, don't talk about spoilers in a second about that. But like you brought out a 10-minute video about Assassin's Creed Unity, and the entirety of that video is every single glitch you could find in 40 hours of gameplay. Yeah. All you found was the glitches. You put that in a video. Now the Notre Dame burns, and everyone is on Steam giving it positive reviews because of how beautiful the game was. Like, screw all you.
Yeah.
Like, you can't expect these, like, it's just so insane. And these companies, and then you hear about stories about the crunch, about how they're working like 100 hours, and then it's like the game comes out. These people, you're mad about the company killing them to death, but then when you get the product and it isn't perfect, you then start shitting on them. Fuck out. It's like, look in the mirror.
Yes.
100%. Every single, I remember I was at work one day and this guy was complaining about how, oh, this sucks. I'm like, well, if you want to solve the problem, you should probably look in the mirror first because you're the one causing all this shit. Yeah. Just saying, like, I'm like, you're the problem. And with spoilers, YouTube, between the demonetization, the copyright claims, I'm not even monetized yet on YouTube, and I'm getting claims.
You got claims too. I got a couple claims. Yep.
But then when Kingdom Hearts 3, when they started leaking, the people got the physical copies early, they all started putting it on YouTube. They started
spoiling everything.
And it's fine, but don't put the spoiler in the fucking thumbnail.
The thumbnail, yes.
Yeah. I went on Instagram because I had just got the Note 9, the new Note, and I was like, let me just scratch out all these damn spoilers and bitch about it online because I'm like, fuck these people. I'm like, YouTube's stealing all this freaking money from all these people, but they're ruining. Like, it's just, and they're
hurting
views.
The experiences. They're hurting the fucking experiences.
And they don't, like, it's just nuts. Like, the way it is now just sucks.
It's hard for creators. No, it's never been harder for creators.
It's hard for creators, and then on top of that, it's so easy for people to talk shit.
Yeah, it's a perfect storm, isn't it?
It's so frustrating nowadays. Like,
well, that's what I can't understand, man. Is like, it's like games have their flaws, right?
100%.
TV shows have their flaws. Movies have their flaws. Books have their flaws. People have their flaws. Some more than others, right?
Yes, they seem to forget that people have flaws as well.
Exactly.
I can't eat a vegetable to save my life. That's a flaw. But I'm not like, they act like they're so perfect. Like, you're right. It's just
it's great, dude. Honestly, just to be candid and just to bring it into my world, man, I loved Kingdom Hearts 3 so much. Every Discord I'm in, love the game. All the little fan base circles I'm in, love the game. We all have things we would have preferred to see. More Final Fantasy characters would be one. Yeah. There are things we'd rather see, but like, it was a fun fucking game. Yeah. It tied a ribbon on a lot of plots and arcs that we've been waiting to see. It was good, and then in the end, they're like, "Hey, guess what? More is coming." Yeah. So I walked away from that game and was like, "Whew." Good job.
Me, I had such a complicated history with Kingdom Hearts 3. That was the game that made me not want to review games anymore. Because all right, I played it. I played every single game.
Mm-hmm.
I bought the new ones, the remasters. I played them. Forced my wife to watch me play with the Dream Eaters.
Gotcha.
That's just with the touch. All right.
You went the whole 9 yards.
Kingdom Hearts 3 to me, as when I was trying to become a reviewer, I hated it. As a person, I loved it.
As a reviewer, you hated it.
Hated it because I'm like, the game legit, like, look, without the rose-colored glasses, it was we waited 16 years for a 2006 game with great graphics. But I was like happy as a pig in shit playing, like, the dynamics were good.
I'd fight you a little bit on that. I'd say PS3. I'd say it felt more like a PS3 game. PS2 is there's a big difference between Kingdom Hearts 3 and Kingdom Hearts 2.
All right, but look at the formula behind like the storytelling of Kingdom Hearts 3 and Kingdom Hearts 2. You go to a new world that you have to go by power level unless you're smart ass and you want to.
Yeah.
So you get in between each world, you get the cutscene of the main story, a little bit of a tie-in in the middle, and then at the end, and that's it. The entire game. I thought with 16 years they could have written it a little bit differently, where the story it was like literally it's just like main story, Disney World, main story, Disney World, with a little sprinkle of like the organization.
The plot was just slowly moved itself along.
And each of the old games was the same exact thing. Each world had one organization member that you had to take down by the end of the game. So to me, because also what didn't help me was replaying Kingdom Hearts 2 like a month before. Because then to me, it felt like the same exact game.
See, I did the opposite. I stayed away from the series.
Yeah, that's
leading up into it.
So when you,
it is like the mechanics are very similar.
Yeah,
the mechanics are very similar.
Except for like the rides and all that. Like the combat was definitely the highlight of the game. I loved the combat.
The combat was the best in the series so far. Yeah,
I loved the 5 people. I loved the story. Yep. Woody had the most badass scene in
Toy
Story.
Scene,
Woody's just like was great.
To me, like, but then no one's ever loved you before.
And then I'm like, but then they didn't do that for like the other ones, and I'm like.
Because I felt like what happened with this is Tetsuya Nomura had a really bargain with Disney because they wanted to leave Pixar out of this whole thing. And then Tetsuya Nomura was straight up like, well, you're not getting another Kingdom Hearts game unless Pixar's part of it.
And then people that made the movies were part of it.
Yeah. Exactly. The animators. Yeah. And what happened with this
writers.
game, I don't know, you know the game theorists, right? Mm-hmm. Did you see the piece they did about the Frozen world?
That one I didn't.
So they deep dove into the code, into the code, and there's an entire other Frozen world in the code of the game we didn't see, where Elsa's supposed to join your party.
Yeah.
You're supposed to go into a deeper cavern. Like, it's supposed to be this whole other thing. And Disney canned it.
Well, because of Frozen 2, I'm assuming.
Well, Disney got Frozen in the game to advertise for Frozen 2. Because you notice the trailer for Frozen 2 dropped a week after Kingdom Hearts 3 came out. But Nomura rolled with it, kind of put his own spin on it, and Disney did not like what they did with Elsa. No. So they said, no, you have to do it this way. So that's why you spend the Frozen world up the mountain, down the mountain.
Yeah,
up the mountain, down the mountain.
It was so...
Up the... It's the worst world in the game. That's why I could say the worst part of the game is Frozen. I probably guessed that before the game dropped.
It was because you knew it was going to be the next Atlantica.
Exactly.
Under
the sea.
Yeah.
Under the sea. But to go to your point, you're right. The story structure was the same as all the previous games.
And it's not bad. It's just you could like
you wanted something a little bit more.
I thought it would have been written a little differently.
To me, what I got off on that was different was the quality of the animation. I felt like I was watching a Pixar movie from beginning to end.
Yeah, but then when you did like the to me the worst, most pointless one besides Frozen, like I got even less satisfaction out of the Pirates of the Caribbean one, because yes, the graphics were astounding. It was kind of creepy because of how like it was like I think looked. This is how Goofy and Donald would look like.
I actually have to disagree with you wholeheartedly. Are you speaking story wise or
no? Just the world itself.
The world itself.
Like I feel like you could have I felt like they structuring an open world, open sea, but having 3 islands and then going from 1, 2, 3, and then you're done. I kind of was expecting, like, maybe I was expecting too much, almost like a Black Flag. Like,
I think you might have been.
And I was like, you might have this. Like, I'm like, maybe we can get in the water, when the boat, which I liked that. Like, it was solid work.
I love the boat battles.
But I'm like, I thought we were gonna get like a little bit more free roam, and there was like maybe islands, some extra stuff to discover.
The series hasn't got. I'm with you because I wanted that too.
I'm just trying to sound like one of those people that we're talking about, but it's like,
I'm with you because I was looking for that too. You always want more, right?
Yeah.
You always want more. If it were up to me, God, every Kingdom Hearts world would have been a sandbox, just like Breath of the Wild.
Yeah.
You know, ideally.
Yeah.
But there's only so much they can do.
Yeah.
B, the series has a formula, and the formula works.
Yeah.
I'd like to see them mix it up a little bit more, but if they're going to commit to a formula that's worked for almost 2 decades, I'm not necessarily going to fault them.
Well,
for
now I'm more. I did a breakdown of the secret movie. Did you see the secret movie?
Yes.
Okay. Now I'm worried about the secret movie. I'm excited because it was the Verum Rex
freaking out
with the Final Fantasy 15, which apparently
13 versus 13.
Yeah, it was like what would have been that game. Blah blah blah. What? All right. I'm scared. This what I want to see is controversial. Less Disney and try to do like Star Wars, Marvel, and like Final Fantasy, Square Enix, because the world that they're in is from that
much
game.
More realistic looking.
It's in that world that they're in is from that game that from the Twilight.
You know
Zone.
how I can tell you they're doing this? Because they now have developing rights for the Avengers.
Yeah,
Square Enix is making an Avengers game.
Yeah,
and now if that goes well, I'm sure Nomura is going to have no problem saying, "Hey, can we?"
I just feel like when a company kind of like Kingdom Hearts, they're in a position to grow with the fan base.
Yes,
because I don't know if I could possibly because by the time the next game comes out, I'm 27 now. By the time the next game comes out, I'm probably gonna be like 31, 32. I'm expecting at least 5
probably
years.
30. No, I think they said within the next 3 years.
Yeah, but even then, I'm 30 years old.
Fair.
And it's like,
me too.
Do I want to? Yeah, like it's I can play Pokemon because Pokemon to me is like ASMR. It's calming. But like playing Frozen 2 in this one, when I'm not really too into Frozen. It's gonna be kind of hard for me to like want to jump in.
I can bypass it depending what the other worlds are.
Yeah, like if they do like a mix, I guess.
I don't know if they'll get Star Wars. I think that's a little too far. But I would be willing to bet money that in at least the next main title, you're for sure gonna see Marvel.
Hopefully,
for sure. I think it's such a good fit. They've already got developing rights for Marvel Comics. I also think Sora and Peter Parker. I think there's something about that combination I like a lot. I've seen a lot of the fan
they're both
art.
like the nice kind of like well-meaning
well-intentioned young men who everyone around them seems to be dying.
Yeah.
but to round it out, and like this is a perfect example. We're talking about this game, and our criticisms of the game are valid.
Yeah.
But
I'm not gonna go online and tell people that this is the worst game ever.
Well,
make a petition.
Let me ask you something. Did you enjoy the game?
Yeah.
Did you like the game?
Yeah.
Did you like the game?
That's why I said it. Like as a reviewer,
as a player, you loved it.
As a fan of the series, that was great.
As a reviewer, you don't want to be accused of being like biased, or you want to be accused of doing things with
that's what a lot of people don't
graphics.
understand. Like when somebody, the people that review like Pokemon, probably like for IGN, for example, they grew up playing the game. Obviously, you're gonna want to love it. I got the Switch, the Pikachu, whatever. Let's Go.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't really like it that much because of the way they changed it so much. But
I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the ride.
It was like an easy to play. It was
that's
like,
where I'm with you, dude. It's like
so
enjoy
it's
the
like
ride.
You can enjoy it and then not spend the next 30 years of your life shitting on it and trying to make other people see that point of view.
You know, there are very few games that I could play that if I wanted to, like, let me reword that. Mm-hmm. There are very few games out there that I couldn't rip a new asshole if I wanted to, because, like we said, there's 800 people working on these games. Mm-hmm. There's mistakes, there's glitches. It's like you said with the Assassin's Creed. You're talking 40 hours of gameplay. He shows you 10 minutes of glitches.
Yeah,
it's like, duh. Yeah, duh. That's gonna happen.
I was playing Origins and there was a boat flying in the air in circles. Did that ruin the game? No. And it was funny, but it didn't. But then they'll point that out in the videos to get clicks. It's like,
well. I want to ask you this because you played all the Kingdom Hearts games, and so there's very few people I could have this conversation with. How did you feel about how they wrapped up the story?
In my mind, what I would have wanted to see is maybe, considering how forgettable, like Frozen, maybe subtract or replace it with or like kind of make like an extra world where it was like, all right, my favorite part of Kingdom Hearts 3 was the end. With
the whole rush,
with all
give me
double that.
More, I'm with you.
I like they realized like what to me felt like was we want to sell this game to people. Okay, all the fans love Sora, they love Riku, they love Kairi,
the original.
But then they use like the Disney to get you in. But it's like I know they have to. I know they have to get the people that don't really care too much to be like, oh, I'll buy it. It looks pretty cool. I get it. But it's like when you play the game and you spend more time with the Disney characters than you did with these characters, I would have liked it to see like
I agree
more time with them.
I agree with that. I wanted more time with the original characters.
Riku is one of the coolest characters. It's just he's like the Sasuke of this game. He's like the guy, the bad boy. Yeah. Then you got Kairi, who's like doing like, and then like what the only
Kairi needs more attention. I actually love Kairi as a character, but she just needs more attention.
Yeah. But it's like I would have much preferred more narrative with the main characters of Kingdom Hearts.
But I almost feel like that's what I felt that this game was almost like a hybrid between a climax and a reboot.
Yeah, because we're gonna feel that no matter what because of the time period.
Yeah,
the time frame between
this one and the next. Yeah. And I almost feel like they are based on the secret movie. Well, based on the secret movie we saw. I mean, we're getting thrown a whole new set of original characters. Basically, you know about the whole thing. Nomura had the vision for Final Fantasy Versus 13, and that was supposed to be Final Fantasy 15, and then he got canned from that, and they moved him over. Do you know about all that? Yeah. So the thing,
Verum Rex from that was like the Lost Ideas.
Yes.
And then,
And the thing I love about that is like if you at the end of Dream Drop Distance, you know when Riku does the deep dive and saves Sora's heart, and he finds Ansem the Wise encoded in Sora's heart, and he explains to him, he's like, Sora has the power, like, maybe he can recreate people that we thought were lost to us forever. And the reason why, and I got chills saying that, is because, like, I feel like that's Nomura using Sora in the Kingdom Hearts series as a vehicle to revive his dream vision.
And you know what? I tell everybody that makes fun of me for watching anime, this is why Japanese games are just so amazing.
Yeah.
The narratives, like the real life, the stuff that they never pull back punches. It's like when you watch, it's like when people watch like a television show and they're like Game of Thrones. Imagine if Game of Thrones was an anime. It was like imagine, and you had like people working on it, like the people that make anime, the ones that know how to handle all these crazy things and twists. Like it's so nuts. Like and even with the games, just like it's so crazy. That story is just so wonderful. It's so great to see like it's real life going into a game.
It's a beautiful story.
What we get out here in America is like games where they'll show like the Grand Canyon in a game and you'll be like, holy shit, ooh, that's great. Yeah. It's like with VR, almost like that. When it comes to like these Japanese RPGs, these games, like it's so incredible what they do.
You know what my buddy said to me, and it couldn't be any more true. It's like Square Enix in Japan do a better job at delivering Disney's message than Disney in 100%. America.
No, 100%.
Like if I actually think that series captures what Disney's supposed to be about.
Yeah.
You know, we don't have much time left, and I could talk about this shit all day.
Yeah.
So I should probably get a camera that can record for more than an hour and a half. So I wanted to leave you with the famous question before we wrap this up. I always ask people if they're chip gang. And now what chip gang is, I don't know how much you know about it. It's you put a chip, say, in your brain, on the back of your spine, in your wrist, and it can do things like give you a warning when a tumor is growing, or it can allow your thoughts to become Google searches, or it can allow you to download books into your brain so you don't have to read anymore. Let me ask you, if that was available to you right now, would you do it?
Like a chip?
A chip. Would you chip yourself to being basically like, I don't want to say a superhuman, but for lack of a better term, a superhuman?
Well, I'll probably give you like one of the weirder answers. I would rather have a chip that helps me stay healthy and make me not want to smoke and all this other thing.
Yeah.
If I could get a chip to just help me like be healthy, that's what I would want over superpowers, if I'm being honest with you.
Well, I'm not going for superpowers. More just like more bandwidth in your brain.
No, I get that. I feel like, but you know what it is? You watch like Spider-Man, you watch like all these movies. The burden sucks. I watch it. I almost half the time I'm watching these. I think I'm the only one that feels this way. Because I'm like, oh yeah, I love Captain America, but I don't want his problems. That's how I view it.
I think that's the point, isn't it?
Yeah, but I'm
isn't that the point?
Yeah, I don't really. I wish I can get a chip that could get me healthy.
So you're down for the medicinal chip?
Yeah, just to kind of like, not to control my brain or anything.
So you're all about the medicinal, not the recreational.
If I take this, I could then, the biggest love of my life besides my wife is nerd culture. If I could make it so that I could live longer, I guess we'll do it that way. I'll live longer because I'll be so much healthier, so that I can keep like playing these games.
Keep playing.
Keep playing these games. A lot of people, they walk around searching in life like it's like so empty, but I'm like, even with
I'm out of room.
Yeah. Some people like they're some people like, for me personally, I just wish I could like divulge more into different cultures around the world, learn more shit. And I feel like the bandwidth could help you memorize more things, but if you stay healthy and you live a little bit longer in your lifespan, and you don't have to worry about your back problem.
That's the true gift.
It's like, I got a back that I can barely lift things anymore, and my job is pure lifting. So I'm sitting basically in hell at work when I go back. So it's like, if I could have a chip that just fixes everything and just keeps me healthy and I know what I need. It's like the Terminator screen.
Yeah.
But instead it's like, eat damn vegetables. Mm-hmm. Eat this. Like, your fiber's running low. Eat it. You need potassium. Eat a damn banana, you idiot. If I had something like that in my head, I would be much happier, because I love the world right now. As much as it sucks, it's also the most beautiful it's ever been. At the same time.
That's the yin and the yang.
And it's only going to get worse, but it's also going to get better.
Yeah.
And
you're not wrong.
I live on the silver linings of things. People want to do something shitty, I look at the outcome. And for me personally, having Marvel movies, Disney things, having I'll be, like we said, the gamers that spend their lives hating on all these games. If they spent their lives loving stuff and just being happy, they would be happier people.
Yeah.
And that's what 100%. I wish I could have more time doing that, personally. All right. That's what I want.
Well, on that, let's wrap this up. Plug yourself one last time, and we'll let the people go.
Sounded dirty. You can hit me up on All Nerds Welcome on YouTube. All Nerds, regular spelling, nothing new, nothing crazy, no Z. I'm on Twitter at Captain Beans. I'm pretty active, and I like to talk to people on there. Instagram is also All Nerds Welcome. I appreciate anything. One thing I do say to a lot of people, if you want to start a conversation about stuff like we did here, I'm all ears on social media. I will try to answer if you want to be civil. If you call me a fat joke, so it better at least be funny. But that's about it. That's all. I just I'll plug this. I'll plug happiness.
I like that.
I want people. We should all just be happier.
I couldn't agree with you more.
Yeah.
I'm very happy to have you on the podcast. I would love to have you back another time. Anyone, if you're listening, check out his YouTube page, All Nerds Welcome. Hook him up on Instagram, Captain Beans. Alex, thank you so much for coming on, man.
Thank you, man.
Much appreciated.
The blinking cosmos, with all its galaxies, and forever and ever and ever, whatever it is beyond that, what you might call God in the Western tradition, or Brahman in Hindu philosophy, or Tao in Chinese. Every one of us is really that, but we are pretending we aren't. And we are pretending with tremendous skill and deception. Who are you?